In today's video, we're going to be discussing how to stop chasing the thing that we want and to start aligning ourselves to this version of the life that we are wanting to create. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayra. If you're new here, I help women start living their lives for themselves again. On this channel, we discuss all things self-discovery, healing the feminine, and becoming the best version of ourselves. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please make sure to subscribe and let's get on to the video. I feel like we live in a very masculine world. The energy that we have around us is very masculine. And if you look around, there's a lot of hustle culture. And this is a trap that I personally fell into, and I know a lot of other women have fallen into. But when you are wanting to create an authentic life, it's a lot more supportive to focus on who you are being rather than what you are doing. And you may be wondering, like, how am I going to create this life if I'm just being and not doing? And it all comes down to identity, who you believe yourself to be. Because when you believe yourself to be something, some quality, you naturally adopt those traits. These are just things that you naturally do because your identity is based off of these things. It's just who you are and the things that you naturally participate in your life. So when you are wanting to make changes in your life and create an authentic life for yourself, you really have to think about who this person is that you are wanting to be. So aligning yourself to the identity of somebody who just naturally does these things, you're able to stick to them because this is just who you are. So in your everyday life, you just naturally move like you are this person rather than chasing this life that you're wanting, because when you're chasing something, it's because you feel like you don't have it. Rather than when you're aligned to something, you know you have it. You know that this is your life. You know that you do the things that you do because this is your life and this is how you show up in your life and this is who you are. And to me, chasing comes from a lack mindset, because you're trying to grasp onto something because you feel like you don't have it. So you're trying to force it into your life rather than attracting it, because alignment means becoming the version of yourself who naturally receives what you desire. And it still requires effort, but it's a softer approach to getting what it is that you want. So how do you create this life that you want? By stepping into alignment. You have to get clear on what it is that you're wanting to create in your life or who you're wanting to become, and then define what that means to you and why. Why is it that you're wanting to create this in your life? Because I know a lot of us kind of fall into our conditioning and we just follow things blindly because we feel like this is something we're supposed to do. And then, we follow this blueprint that isn't necessarily meant for us. And then we get to the end point and we're wondering why we don't feel fulfilled or why we're not happy or why we feel jaded in life. And it's because we were trying to force a shoe that does not fit. So get really clear, like, why do you want this? Because right now something that we're fed is, we're supposed to go to school and get a job and get married and have kids. But until you sit down with yourself and you figure out what it is that you want in your life and why you want it, you may not even realize that what's being presented to you isn't necessarily what you want. So once you get really clear and you figure out your why, you have to define what this means for you, because everybody has their own definition and their own perspective on what it means to show up as a certain version of themselves. So let's say you want to get fit. Okay. One person's definition of being fit could just mean that they go on walks every day and they are mindful of what they eat, and they believe in the 80-20 rule where 80% is healthy and 20% is, just enjoying whatever they're craving, and that's their definition of fit. Or versus somebody else who their definition of fit is being really strong and having a lot of muscle, and maybe they want to be in a bikini competition, right? So their version of fit will look a lot different than this person's version of fit. So you have to figure out what your definition of what you're trying to create looks like for you. And this is where you get to have fun, because you get to create the life that feels aligned to you. So figure out what your definition of this thing is. And then start thinking about what a person who lives this fit lifestyle would be doing. So the person who's going on walks daily and just eating healthier is going to be very different than, somebody who's wanting to have a lot of muscle and maybe compete in a bikini body competition. One may just be like, oh, I just need to wake up a little bit earlier, and get my steps in. Maybe meal prep, maybe getting fiber, right? Whereas somebody who's on this side that's wanting to compete for something, maybe they're focusing on their macros. Maybe they're going to the gym and focusing on progressive overload. Maybe they are practicing their walk. Just think about who this version of you is being and what they do on a day-to-day basis to be that person. And if you're not sure what somebody who's living this lifestyle may be doing, find somebody on social media that you feel inspired by and see if they share with you their day-to-day lives, the things that they do on a daily basis to get them to where they currently are. Another example could be being an entrepreneur. Let's say you're wanting to start your own business and you figure out the reason why you want to be an entrepreneur is because you want to make a lot of money. And then you go deeper and be like, why do I want to make a lot of money? And you find out it's because one of your values is stability. And with being an entrepreneur, there's not a cap on how much income you can make. And then you break down what an entrepreneur does on their daily life. Like, what is it that they're doing? So as you're breaking that down, you realize that, okay, maybe being an entrepreneur isn't necessarily what you want to do, because when you have your own business, there's a lot of ups and downs. Then you realize you thought that being an entrepreneur could create stability for you, but it actually doesn't feel as stable as it sounded. You don't know until you break it down into what these people are doing and what it might actually look like for you, and if you would actually want to live this lifestyle. And if it is something that you're wanting to do, now you have a list of things that people who are living this life would do on a daily basis, so you can start aligning your actions to fit into this version of yourself, so you can start creating that life. Because this is just who you are as a person. These are just the things that these people naturally do. So these are the things that you naturally do. And you adopt the identity of this person who is the entrepreneur or who is the bikini competitor. And like I say in every video, pick one thing, focus on that one thing. Once you feel comfortable at that point, then you can add on. And then get comfortable with that and then add on. And you continue doing that until you are just living in alignment with this lifestyle, until your way of being is aligned to who this person is. You're creating this life. You get to create this life. So make it yours, make it your own. Add your little flair, your little ideas like that maybe somebody else may not be doing, but you want to do it that way. You get to create this. You are the creator of your life and who you want to be and what you want to allow and the type of relationships that you want to have in your life. Like, you get to choose what your aligned life looks like for you. And expect some blocks to come up. Expect maybe some self-doubt may come up. Some emotions may come up for you, feeling of, am I worthy of this? These are all natural things that happen, and work through them as they come up, because that's how you live in alignment. Right? You heal the parts of you that maybe don't feel worthy of this version of you. And it's ongoing work. This work never really stops. All the stuff that I share, it never really stops. There are things that are so ingrained in us that unlearning that behavior, it's going to take time, and it's going to come up randomly. And you may feel frustrated because you're like, I thought I worked through this, and something happens and it just triggers it all over again. That's normal. That's part of the experience. The only thing that you have to do in those moments is figure out how to best support yourself to move past those things, because they will pass, and continue on your journey, because you deserve it. So if you are ready to start living your life in alignment, maybe you feel like you need some accountability, maybe you need help in getting some clarity on how to create this life, or the why, just getting really into that like deep level of breaking everything down, I would love to help you through that process. I'll leave my discovery form link down below so we can hop on a call, see how I can best support you. I also have a free workbook that you can download on how to start living your life for yourself again. That link will also be down below. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, make sure to give the video a like if you found it helpful, and share it with anyone that you think would benefit from this conversation. Also, check check out my most recent upload, and I will see you guys in the next video.